Probably my first few years, probably, the fights I had with Joe probably got.
Folks, we're back again. We have Justin Schmit. I'm going to say enforcer, forward. We all know him. A fighter, whatever nicknames you guys could think of, Justin and the Fed. We have him on Thumb Fed Talk, folks. Justin, welcome to the Thumb Fed Talk program. Tell us, what was your time in the Fed?
Thanks, guys. You know what? I had lots of so many good memories. I made so many good friends, and obviously I went there, and at the end, towards the end of, that was kind of at the tail end of my career. I made some tremendous friends, and I think I had 150 fights or something in 5 years in that league, and it was a good time. I got to be a part of some pretty great organizations, and I got to take a trip to the finals my first year in Columbus, and yeah, it was I never missed the playoffs in one year. Every year I was always with a contender, so it was a really good experience for me.
Yeah, I was listening today at work. Bruised and Battered, they had AJ Slept on, and I'm listening and doing my thing at work, and he's like, I fought Justin Schmit. I'm like, what? And I'm thinking back, yeah, you did. You did in Port Huron. And I'm like, just thinking it back to how he talked about his time fighting you and everything. It's like, wow. It blew my mind. I mean, I had a long day. That was my highlight of today.
Oh man, I'll have to give it a listen. I really like that kid. I didn't. I haven't. I actually, to be honest with you, I try to not get diving down too many rabbit holes on social media. As you guys saw last week, I kind of broke the internet, telling certain people to stay in their lane regarding some political issues in Canada, and yeah, I had to kind of take a step back because I was starting to get death threats, and it started to get pretty wild. So,
wow.
no, he was, yeah, I was, I don't know, whatever.
What did you do, Schmitty?
Oh no, it's not nothing too much. It's a Canadian issue. There's Western Canada. There's a province in Western Canada that I grew up in is threatening to separate from Canada, just because they're probably the most resource rich province in the country, and I'm we're back. We're back.
Well, I think that's a good thing that you cut it out for a minute there. Yeah, we can
hear you, Schmitty. Yeah.
I think that was a good thing that you cut out.
Maybe that was the universe telling me.
It was definitely a purpose there, Schmidt.
Stay out of politics.
Don't you love how that thing works out? You talk about one thing, and then all of a sudden, what was I talking about? Or the internet dies on you. It's like, what? That's your sign.
It's all right. Yeah, but so Schmitty, I got a question for you. What was it like playing for Robbie Nichols?
Again.
Can you hear me?
You guys hear me again?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if it's I wonder if it's my internet. Maybe I'll move upstairs. I'll go upstairs and see if it improves any. Come on, Jeff. Come on, bud.
See, folks, this is
My dog
what we
just
do
follows
on
me everywhere.
Texas. See, folks,
Is
this
that
what we do
Jenny?
on-
Oh yeah, there she is. There, Jen. Jen, what's up,
Where's
buddy?
Jen
I gotta
at?
turn my computer though.
Where's the famous Jen?
Yes.
There's Jen.
There she is.
Love that dog.
There's her head. She's funny. Oh, your breath stinks, Jenny. Ugh. We gotta get more proactive on her dental health. We just got a $1,700 vet bill the other day because I don't want to say it's because we don't brush her teeth, but she chipped one of her canines. They had to pull it. That was an expensive trip to the vet.
Wow.
Howie.
Yeah,
See,
she's a
folks,
good
like I
dog.
said,
I
this
got
is-
her.
Internet.
like I
I
said,
got her in. Oh man, has that improved any of you guys?
we can hear
Yeah, I
you.
can still hear you, bud.
Okay. Yeah, I got Jenny in Watertown. Me and I think it was myself and Kyle Heitzner. We were out at the Olive Garden for lunch one day, and this dog popped up on the SPCA's website. And I was like, "Oh, Heitzy, let's go have a look at this dog here. Do you want to have a look at the dog?" And yes, we went to the SPCA, and she spotted me, and she came running down the hallway, and the rest is history. She's a good dog. She stayed in Montreal here with Beth all winter when I was in Kansas, and it was tough being away from her for that long. So she acted like the first night I was home. When I got home, she was pretty cautious. I don't know if she was being dramatic or if she truly just couldn't figure out who I was. But then the next morning I got up early and I was sitting up here on the couch having my coffee, and she tiptoed up the stairs and she saw me, and then she was all fired up and excited she was excited I was back home.
That
So
warms my
speaking
heart.
of Kansas, what was it like playing for Robbie?
It was a good experience. We obviously they made a big they made a big deal when I signed there, and I don't know, I hadn't it was the first expansion team I'd been a part of in a long time. And it was it was a lot of work getting things off the ground. And they had some struggles, coming down the stretch, and there was just a lot of frustration on my part the way things were going, and I obviously wasn't performing the way I wanted to, and so we just kind of agreed to go our separate ways. But it was never, I have all the admiration in the world for him, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. It just, I knew that moving forward I wasn't going to be a piece of the puzzle, as things progressed the next year. And like I said, the team was really struggling, and I wasn't happy with the way things were going personally, as far as the way I was playing. And it's like, I'm just gonna kind of cut my losses here while I still can, because like I said, I don't know what the future really holds, whether I can't see myself back to the minors. Just I'm not at that, I'm 41 years old. I'm not at that place in my life where I'm trying to climb the ladder at all in any way, shape, or form. And I can still play here. I still got probably a year, maybe two left in my body, to try and win another championship here. And it's a really good league, and the travel schedule's pretty limited. Some older guys that have been, they kind of maybe kind of get it a little more than maybe some of the younger guys do in the minors. So it's a little bit easier to be in that type of atmosphere where guys, their only concern is winning, as opposed to, and I understand that. I was a young guy too, and I tried to climb the minor league ladder as much as anybody. But here in Quebec, these are all guys that have shot their shot, whether it's within in the NHL or over in Europe and stuff. And now they want to be close to home, and they got families, and they still want to compete, and they still want to create a life from hockey. But it's a lot different mentality. And the fact that I don't speak, as much as I'm trying. My French is really good, so I can't get too caught up in any type of locker room drama or anything, because I don't understand what's going on anyhow. I know what the job is, and I know what I have to go do, and I know what we're trying to achieve as a team. But as far as the outside bullshit, I can just go to work and do a job and come home to Beth and Jenny, so it works out okay.
Yeah, it really does. Being closer home, playing with a team in Canada, like you said, it's a win-win in my eyes for you. Instead of being on the road, traveling,
Hmm.
you're 41 years old. It's like, well, I'm going to stay home and I only got to travel an hour. Perfect.
Totally. Yeah, no, and I'm not, and like I said, I'm so grateful for my time in the minors. I was lucky to do it longer than most guys. And I'm never going to close the door on going back in a management capacity again. But as far as being a player, it would definitely have to be a pretty special offer. And nobody's really knocking down the door of a 41-year-old with bad knees and bad shoulders right now, minors. So
Yeah. Yeah. I have to agree with you on that. Not a whole lot of coaches want to knock on that door and say, well, come and play for me. Oh, okay. Like, but in your time in the
yeah.
Fed, who was being a Forester? Who was your favorite person to square up with? That was from Andy Klein, our third man in, but he's got called into work today.
Obviously, probably the easiest answer would be Joe Pace, just because we s- you know we had such tremendous battles, and like it was it was always a challenge fighting him. But we had a lot of mutual respect for each other, and he's a really close friend of mine. And I think we really, Biloxi, you know, even though I never played for Mississippi, it's probably the city that I have the closest ties to, as far as like from an oppositional standpoint. And we were able to, I think, help generate a lot of attention there, when they were first starting to get the wheels turning. And it definitely breaks my heart that they weren't able to, because even now to this day, I still see such a big market there on the Gulf Coast, and I wish they could figure it out. I think it'll take some time not having hockey there for a few years, and then maybe they'll be able to get some attention and bring it back, is my hope for that place. Because like I said, I saw it when it was really good, and I saw it this year when things that rink seats 10,000 people, and you're getting 1,500, 1,000 in there. It's pretty sad, right?
Yeah, but it's I would like to see like we got the moccasins down there, but it's not really in the golf. If you got more teams on the golf, or you should have good hockey theoretically. And I mean, I was it's crappy how it happened.
Yeah, it's too bad, and I mean things happen. Sometimes markets just don't work, and like there is like I think the golf, like in 20 years, like I played in Jacksonville, I played in Orlando, played in Pensacola, played in Baton Rouge, played in Mississippi. All those spots always always seem to have there's a it's a big market for a spectator sport, and I wish, and I do truly believe that there will come a time when somebody's gonna take another shot at it, and I hope the right people are involved to make it something really special again.
Yeah, like you bring back Joe Pace. I think that's one of the guys that us three guys want on Thumb Fed Dog just to pick his brain. But yeah, it's just I'm happy that Justin got you on because it's like I watch your egg videos in the morning. You cracking them eggs, drinking eggs, and I'm like, how in the world can that guy do that? Eggs alone just make me sick.
oh
So
I
you were
just
drinking eggs?
Oh man, I watched it. I watched Rocky Balboa do it when I was 6 years old. I wanted, the three things I ever wanted to be. I wanted to be a pro boxer. I wanted to be a professional hockey player. And I wanted to be a cowboy. And I was pretty lucky to be all three. But yeah, when I was a little kid, I watched Rocky do it, and I just kept doing it. And to be honest with you guys, I really hate eggs. Like I hate the smell of them. I hate scrambled eggs. Like I can't force myself to eat them. And eggs are kind of a cheat code for athletes. Like if you can.
No.
Eggs can be a big part of your diet, and it's like it's such a healthy, it's a superfood almost, and but I think they're the most disgusting thing in the world. So if I can choke them down in a glass, it takes some skill to do, but once I can do it, then I don't have to taste them and I don't have to smell them, and it's yeah, it's the easiest way for me to get all those healthy proteins and fats in the morning.
No, I
I
still
don't know.
can't do it.
I, I,
No,
I tried it. I tried it once. I can't do it, Justin. Can't do it.
Oh
It just
yeah.
it doesn't taste good when you go down when it goes down. It's like, oh my god, how does this guy do it every day?
Oh yeah.
And of course, I tune into your videos in the morning. I told these guys tune into it. Pretty good videos. Pretty good videos.
Oh
Bunch of
yeah. Yeah, it's I guess more than anything, it's something that just help me navigate my day when I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then I can kind of put my thoughts out there into the information superhighway or the internet. You got to be careful. Like I said, you got to be careful what you say though, because we saw what happened last week when I went off. Um, but no, it's a fun way for me to still kind of connect to the fans out there, and I do have a lot of I am involved in a lot of like work with mental health, and Derek Parker and I are trying to get the Be a Hero Stop Bullying campaign off the ground again. It was something we took a lot of pride in, when I was more active in combat sports. But I'm trying. The ambition is to start getting that rolling again. So I still have to stay somewhat active on social media. As much I just need. Sometimes I need someone to manage it a little bit for me. So I gotta really gotta mind my P's and Q's, right?
yeah. I don't mean to
so
laugh, but yeah, when you poke certain entities or certain people, they kind of get a little feisty per se.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and I get it. I know politics in every country is such a sensitive subject, and I mean I know it's no it's no mystery what side I pull for. And I mean, I got friends on all ends of the political spectrum. I just sometimes I got to be a little more careful with how I say things, because people that don't know me personally, it could be perceived, it could be taken the wrong way, I guess.
So, are
So
you planning on coming back to hockey this year, or are you kind of stepping back a little bit?
No, I'm guns. I got all my right now. I'm talking with with the team I won a championship with here 2 years ago. So that right now, like I said, unless something crazy happens, the plan is to stay close to home here and try and win another championship here in Quebec, because they won. My first year, the only year I played here, we won, and then last year they defended. So they're gonna have a big target. We're gonna have a big target on our backs, I think. Next season, and um oh, are we still going here?
Yep,
yeah,
we're
we're still
going.
going.
Yeah. So yeah, and like this league here, like my last couple years. Oh, we got somebody new joining the party.
Yes, sir. Sorry, got to work for a little bit, Mr. Schmidt.
Um, no, yeah. So we're gonna, like I said, we got a pretty big target on our back, and like that league, that the league here is no joke as far as toughness goes. Like you can carry 12 forwards. So there's a full fourth line of monsters, and it's a lot different. Fights are really used here as it's still a big tool as a part of the game, policing the game. It's the cleanest hockey I've ever played, because everybody's got so much toughness on the bottom end that nobody can run around, and nobody can there's no bullshit, there's no cheap stuff. The game starts getting a little bit lopsided, and your two gunslingers go out and settle things down, and then maybe something happens away from the play or something, and the two guys got to go sort it out. And it's a throwback to how it was when I started my career in the minors, when you look down the bench, and there's 9 guys that you could end up having to go with that night. Where my last couple years, especially last year, there was only, other than AJ Schlepp in Port Huron, and then he was down in Mississippi. He always went me. I don't know. I think I had less than 10 majors last year. I think him and I had 3 or 4. Me and Bazarin in Baton Rouge had a couple, and then just a couple. It was just a couple guys. One of those things where just kind of a scrum happened, or somebody did something cheap, and we ended. A kid ended up, just doing something, and I ended up going out and grabbing him, and just kind of straightening him out a little bit, but like I here in Quebec, I don't have to look very hard to find a scrap, that's for sure. So
It's different breed up there, Quebec, man. The Canadian hockey is always intense. They have a lot of the true old fashioned hockey still lives long up there.
yeah, it was like nothing I ever experienced, even coming from being in the minors for the majority of my entire adult life. And I came up here a couple years ago, and like you go into a barn in northern Quebec, might seat 1,500, 2,000 people, but like they're on top of you, like like caged animals almost. And it's almost like I don't know how you describe it to someone that's never experienced it, because they're like they got their own chants, and it's almost like almost like a soccer atmosphere, you know, like everywhere you go, you come into town and you need a police escort in and you need a police escort out, and there's brawls in the stands, and you know, people are throwing shit at you, and it's a lot different. And but you know, they understand the game so well. I mean, all they have up here from September to, well, they're lucky that the Habs went deep in the playoffs this year, but from September to April or May, that's all they got is the Virgin Mary and the frozen game, you know. So it's a different world for sure, you know.
Yeah. Well, you're the Great White North, so like you just said, you got hockey and you got Virgin Mary. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, baseball's
Yeah.
in Toronto, so that's what couple 100 miles apart. So
They got it's the big side there, you don't believe it, and it's kind of crazy actually. Like Montreal, like we live right downtown. But cycling's a huge sport here, you know. They got the tour, because Montreal's an island. The Tour de Lille this weekend it's a big bike race. So we're probably gonna, it goes right past our house. So we're gonna probably check that out tomorrow. There's so much to see and do here. It's pretty cool for me. You know, I grew up out west on, you know, in the prairie provinces, and you know, our closest neighbor was 8 miles away. You know, here there's 7 million people, so it's a big transition for me, and I never thought I'd like it at all. And you know, I've been here in the off season now for 4 years. And then I spent, you know, that almost that full year here a couple years ago, and I absolutely love it. You know, different culture and different language, and hopefully this year I can enroll in some French classes and try, and my ambition is to, because there's not many coaching opportunities out there if you're not bilingual here in Quebec either. So I'm gonna really try and hammer down on learning to speak French, because I think actually my dog Jenny understands French better than I do at this point. So
that that's the weird thing. Like most dogs, like certain breeds of dogs, understand German. I think that a lot of military dogs understand German, and so you get a breed of dog. They look at it kind of funny. It's kind of questionable. They might understand French or German or English or Spanish, so gives you
maybe
opportunity to learn a new language.
maybe that's why she picked up French so fast. Maybe it was bred into her. I don't know. She's funny. She's just sitting here having a nap next to me on the couch.
What kind of breed of dog is that?
She's a pit bull. Pit bull something or other. I think she's maybe got some kind of water dog, maybe, because she's got webbed toes, and the way she stands sometimes she's almost looks like a pointer or something. But
Huh.
more like definitely pit bull, because she's got
Yeah.
that big head, and yeah, she's quite the character. Beth was gone to a conference last weekend for 3 days, and Jenny went on a 3-day hunger strike. She wouldn't get out of her bed. She was pissed right off. And then as soon as Beth got home, she ran to her food dish and ate, and yeah, all was right with the universe again in her world as soon as Beth got home. So those two are funny. They're pretty inseparable. And funny story was, you know, when I got Jenny, I didn't consult with Beth because I was in Watertown. I told her I'd got a dog, and she was pissed right off at me about it. And yeah, I'm kind of on the bottom of the totem pole in this household right now. Jenny Beth kind of runs the show, and and Jenny absolutely loves her. And she likes me too, but Beth's definitely Jenny's person. So it's kind of
Yeah.
funny how it works out with dogs like that.
Dogs are awesome.
Oh man, I think that all the time. I sometimes don't think we deserve dogs, as people.
I can agree with you there. The dogs are one of the most loyal animals you'll ever have. They're inseparable. Once they find their person, like yeah, obviously you acquired her, but
Yeah.
then you being the hockey player out playing and constantly around Beth there, that's what happens. They adapt on and make sure she's okay while you're away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It's funny because there was there was a pit bull ban here in Quebec for a long time. So we still, you don't see very many of them. And obviously, she's the most gentle dog I've ever had, but we still get some strange looks when we're out in public and she has the big Hannibal Lecter contraption on her face that they have to wear by law here. she's she's funny. She gets all pissed off when she has to wear it. She fucking hates it. She's always trying to get it off. Yeah. Yeah.
It just your career in the Fed. That's why I'm just sitting here, just thinking about your career and everything like that. It's like I'm just dumbfounded. I'm really in. I'm sorry, but yeah.
With all the years in the Fed, I know you've went against some worthy opponents. Who was your favorite to drop them with?
Like I said, like Joe Pace and I, obviously we had some special ones. Amesy was always such a challenge. I'll take, I'll always say, especially back in the old days, in the Central League days and the Southern League and the United League, I fought some monsters, but I think Dan Amesbury probably hit the hardest for a guy, a guy my size. Ryan Devine, I only fought him once. He was really tough. Alex Basie and I had some bloodbaths for sure. Gino Mini was another real tough kid that was he was kind of a throwback, even though he's a lot younger than me. He's kind of a throwback to that that old school style, right? Where it was more of a respectable thing for us to be going out and doing. He's actually a really close friend of mine too, and all those guys, as much as we battled as hard as anybody, we're on the ice away from the rink, we all had pretty close relationships because we'd been around for a long time, and we kind of knew that without each other, we were all going to be unemployed. So we kind of had to, like we knew what our job was, and we knew that without each other, we weren't going to be able to do our jobs.
That's a special thing too about the enforcers there. The battle that you guys have within that game, but you can see it. You can see the smiles after. You can see that pat on the shoulder, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. They think it's two people out there that just hate each other's guts. These fair weather fans that aren't that big into it and just getting into it. But at the end, you guys are, like you just said, you guys are all buddies. Like, hey, that was a good one. You got me this one. Wait till next time.
Yeah, I think people are really starting to see it now. Like, it's so tragic, especially being here in Montreal with Claude Lemieux passing away the other day. And Darren McCarty has done such a good job of I don't know if you guys saw his the tribute he did to Claude, and it was, like I
Yeah.
said, like Claude Lemieux is one of the most hated players on the ice in all of hockey. He was probably the number one most hated player that ever played the game. And he's so well loved in every single within every single organization he ever played with and around the league. Like the last few days I've just been gutted, you know, especially being here where he's from, and you know, him being at the Habs game, you know, like a couple days before he passed away, and you know, it just, you know, it shows you how. And I think for a lot of people, you know, like I said, Claude was like, he was from what I gather, you know, obviously I never played with him or against him, but you know, for anyone that had said, you know, like he was the hardest competitor that ever played the game, and one of the most well loved teammates that ever played the game too. So you know, I think they've done a good job of showing that the, you know, the persona that people carry on the ice is not, you know, the way they are away from the rink. And sometimes, you know, people, especially in the minor leagues, you know, there's so many people that get, you know, so caught up in all the drama of what goes on in between, you know, the whistles, and they forget that these guys are really, really good people away from the rink. You know, some of the guys I had my biggest, you know, my biggest battles with, you know, we ended up being teammates later, and they were the first guys to reach out when I'd get traded, or you know, vice versa. You know, when they'd come into the dressing room and not know anybody, you know, I was the first guy to kind of extend that olive branch. So it's, you know, it's such a weird world that we're blessed to live in, you know, as athletes, and it's you know, like I said, a lot of people don't understand it, and I think, you know, I think we're starting to do a better job of showing people that, you know, as much as we, you know, as much as we seem to be villains, you know, when we go into their town, you know, we're all just guys trying to do a job at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah, that's the big thing. You got a job to do. You got to do it.
Yeah.
You can sit there and blow somebody's teeth out 1 minute, and the next minute you're drinking a beer at a restaurant, and while they're gumming down some soup,
Yeah.
cracking jokes and enjoying yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, like you said, most guys have you know, wives and kids and families and lives outside of the rink, and I think a lot of people forget that sometimes, you know, like they just think we just, you know, we just go home, and I don't know what sometimes people think our life is like away from the rink, you know. They only see that 60 minutes, you know, what we do in front of the lights and cameras and stuff, and then, you know, away from the rink, guys are usually a lot different, you know.
Oh, for sure. It's like this year we had a good one. Obviously, we played the Bears. I'll just use an example here to give the viewers some knowledge on it as well as firsthand. Obviously, we've seen the rough hit on Blake Anderson, and well, Jesse Anderson ended up dropping the gloves with Bussell. Bussell and Jesse are great friends. I mean, I believe he had mentioned it on here, even like he's in his wedding this summer after breaking his nose. It just shows what happens on the ice. It's on the ice. After it's cool. Shit happens. I had to answer for something I did, and we're good. We're done now.
Yeah, and I think, you know, a lot of times too, like, you know, and yeah, like I said, everybody knows each other, but a lot of times those relationships too are kind of built over, like, you know, like you go out and you guys have a disagreement and you scrap it out, and then, you know, you happen to run into them, like you said, at the bar after, in a restaurant, or you know, somewhere along the lines, and you know, you'll always have that common bond of, you know, like, hey, we went out and did this thing together, it's challenging, don't get me wrong. It was, as much as it's the greatest job in the world, it's one of the most anxiety inducing jobs in the world too, you know. So you're almost like trauma bonded through that experience as well.
Yep, I can see that for sure.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like Andy said, you knock someone's teeth down, even though if it's your brother or whatever, you meet him at the bar, buy him a beer.
Hey, so here you go. Here's your D. You might need these.
Yeah.
We worked that paycheck real good today.
Yeah, I know. I know one time in the playoffs, I was in Elmira and we played Danbury in the first round and they swept us and me and Amesy had two like absolute bloodbaths um in game two and we playoff hockey, but we were both pretty pissed off at each other at the time and we both I mean, like right away, he got kicked out of the game the second fight, and right away, the first guy to come, console me, and like when you lose out and your season's over, it's an emotional thing, and the first guy to come over and give me a pat on the back was Dan Amesbury, and him and I have been pretty fortunate to have the early days of Ice Wars. We created that bond. Being we were both the first two original champions, so there was a lot of press and stuff surrounding us. So we really connected through that whole experience, and he's one of my best friends in the world.
Yeah. I know I got the privilege. We traveled there. Me, my son, and a buddy of mine went to the opening weekend there in Danbury, and we actually got to meet Amesbury, which was cool as hell. Cause like I've watched them tilts with you guys on Ice Wars. That's a couple of fond memories we always watch back. Is watching you and Danny going at it, and man, you guys are just monsters out there. You give it all. There was no spare no expense each time you guys dropped them.
Oh no, I think he shaved a few years off of my life, a few of those times. Same with Pacer. I think that one year Joey and I had 12 or 13 fights with each other. And I remember the last one in Port Huron. It was my third of the night too. It was right before the playoffs. And I fought Nick Williams in the first. And then in the second, what the hell was his name? He's got the pizza shop in Port Huron.
Casey Harris.
Casey Harris. So like Harry was a guy that when I was coming up, my rookie season in the U-Haul, he was the guy. He was a pretty tough guy. You look back at his career and he went everybody at every level. And so they had him in the lineup that night, and he asked me to go at the start of the second. And it was, one of those times where I was like, holy shit, like this is it had early on in my career it happened a lot where I'd fight guys that I had looked up to, but as I got older, obviously there wasn't many guys around that like that. And when Harris asked me to go, I was in the dressing room. I was like, holy shit, like I got my hands full coming out here, and obviously there was probably a lot of rust on him, but I managed to clip him pretty good, and then. And then right at the end of the third, Joey asked. He said, "Hey, do you want to make it? Do you want to make it? Do you want to have three tonight?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And that third one of the night, like and I'd already fought twice that night, and that third one was an absolute marathon. Like we were both just like head to toe, bleeding out every opening in my face. And then immediately because I got kicked out of the game, and Joe, it was in the last 5 minutes. So Joe, we both went off in the same tunnel. You know how it is in Port Huron when you go out the same tunnel. And there was a case of beer just sitting there, and we didn't even go in the dressing room. We both just grabbed a beer and sat down and like caught our breath together, and like there's no cameras around, nobody's watching that. There's 2,000 people. 2,000 people witnessed what just happened, and then all of a sudden, we're away from the lights and the crowd, and we're sitting there drinking a beer together, and it was pretty special. And somebody got a picture of it, and then that summer the hockey news ended up doing a story in that picture, ended up in the hockey news, and it was that was a really special memory. I think, all those things, you couldn't have planned, um, those the way those early years, or my early years in that league, unfolded. Everything just kind of happened the way it should. As far as like with me and Joe, and me and Amesy, and then Ian White coming back, and me living with him, and him almost making it all the way back up to the NHL. Like those years in Columbus and in Watertown were so special, and it was just it happened so organically.
It's a special thing. That's one thing with your career. I know it's watching the Fed side of it. I didn't get to watch much before, but watching it through the Fed, it's a nice one. You did your job. That's for damn sure. Nobody can take that away from you. You went out there, you laid it all on the line every night, and you let them know who you were at the end of it.
Yeah, it was I did a job, and there's probably things I could have done differently at certain times, but my teammates will never, they'll never be able to say I was a shitty teammate, or I didn't have my teammates' best intentions, or my team's best intentions, at any point. And I always gave it my all. And I think especially, like this last season, even though it was as frustrating as it was for me at times, I think I was able to connect with a lot of the young guys, and help them navigate, their first experience in pro hockey. There was I really connected well with some of the young guys, and even when I was in Watertown, I was in more of a leadership role there, and some of the young guys I was able to connect with. Like my probably my two closest friends, from the last couple years, were Gordy Whalen and Trevor Grasby, and they're just two tremendous people that are always going to be in my life, regardless of whether we're playing hockey or whatever the universe has in store for us. Those two guys are people that are going to be in it for the long haul with me.
Yeah, we had Gordon Whalen on Thumbfed Talk here, and I wanted to shake his hand last time he came to Port Huron. Justin said he was looking around for us. Man, I wanted to shake that man's hand. He had a lot of interesting stories to tell. And
Oh,
since you
he's
are living up in Canada and I don't have a passport, one of these times, next time you come down to the States for a Fed game or whatever, I want to shake your hand, Justin. I really do.
absolutely. Yeah, like I said, I had a friend one time tell me that said we don't make plans, we make decisions. So I never want to look too far ahead or down the road, because even this time last year, I had no idea where I was going to be, and then I made the decision to go to Kansas, and like I said, all at the end of the day, it was a great experience. I think I did my job there, and I served my purpose. I mean, I helped get things off the ground, and I made it a good experience for a lot of young players, and just like I said, with an expansion team, it's such an interesting dressing room dynamic to navigate, because you have all these, you're kind of like the island of misfit toys, right? And trying to steer that ship takes a special breed of person, and it was very rarely do you see an expansion team make the playoffs, and they were, they ended up making the playoffs, and there was a lot of good things that came of it. It was just like I said, when the time was right, I got to learn a lot from a really good, a really well respected and well traveled head coach, and learn, the other side of learn the other end of things. And I think maybe I might have been, maybe thrown in the deep end and a little bit, and learned how to navigate those waters from the management side of things. And like I said, I'm never going to close the door on going back to the minors, but as a player, I think that door just keeps closing a little bit more every day. But my ambition, in the future would definitely be able to be a head coach in professional hockey. At some point, I'd like to, like I said, the priority right now is try and win a few more championships up here, and while my body's still able to, and learn how to speak French, and maybe work with some young players up here on developing good habits, because I know for me, probably something that I learned a little bit too late in my career was, like it's not the things you do like once in a while. It's not how you perform in games. It's having those good, consistent, everyday habits as a player that I somehow failed to learn until it was probably too late, I guess.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah. I figure the way I'm halfway to 82, so I got I did all my hard learning in the first 41 years of my life, so it should be smooth sailing from here, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the old saying goes, an old dog. What's that old saying? You never can teach an old dog new tricks or whatever goes. The older we get, we're always going to learn something. We're always going to grow and give our knowledge to the youth. And the youth is the next generation of hockey players. Your knowledge that you
Yeah,
have, Justin, is so in depth. It's at that point you got to pass it on.
yeah, yeah, and it's you never. I think the more I know, or the more I learn, the more I realize just how little I actually know. Like, I always say, like, if I knew as much now as I thought I knew when I was 21, I'd think I'd be a lot further ahead in life than I am, but and I was actually having this conversation with Beth this morning, and I said, like, when I was a young player, I had no fucking clue how anything worked, how the universe worked. And the only way to, you can, if you're someone that's able to take advice and listen, and go left where someone else went right, I think you're gonna have a lot of success. But for me, I'm just one of those fucking people that learns by trial and error, and it's definitely caused created a lot of roadblocks or obstacles in my life. But I think being able learning how to navigate them and stuff has definitely given me more clarity in the later stages of if we're talking about my career. And then, like I said, what the future holds, I don't know, but at least I got to work out those rough spots in my early years.
Yeah.
Do it while you're young, so when you get older, it's easier.
Yeah, you can sit back and look and like, man, that was stupid. but it was
Oh,
I
fun.
had a good time.
My son's 18, and he calls me and tells me all these stories, and I just like I want to tell him how it's gonna unfold, but I'm like, well, if you're anything like me, you're gonna learn the hard way anyhow. But sometimes I'm just like, holy shit, man! If you haven't, have you learned anything?
You haven't watched that at all? Come on, man.
Yeah, he's funny. Yeah, the apple. It's hilarious. I look at pictures of me when I was his age, and the way he talks and the way he sees the world, and like I haven't been in his life, a whole lot when he was young, and he's basically pretty much raised by his mother and his grandparents, but the similarities that we have just in our mindset and the way we look is it's actually like kind of crazy to think. It's like, holy smokes, man. So I'm pretty proud of him. He turned out pretty good. He just, like I said, he's gonna, if he's anything like me, there's gonna be some tough years ahead, as long as he if he unless he listens to the old man, eh?
Yeah.
I
I
got a
think
14-year-old, and he's a chip off my old block. All you can, like I
Totally.
tell him every day, you can screw around, keep acting like me, but boy, it's gonna be a difficult path.
Totally. And same thing. My old man used to give me shit for the same things I'm giving my kids shit for now. It's
Yep.
funny. It's funny how that works. Like when you're a kid and you hear your dad say things like that, you're like, okay, old man, you don't know shit about how the world works. And then 20 years down the road, you're like, holy shit, that old fucker was right.
To a T. You look back and go, God damn, I should have listened to him.
Yeah. Man, I
that's
wish
how
I'd
my
listened to
kid is.
father.
Like I tell my kid, I have a 12-year-old. I tell him, like, dude, I wouldn't do that. Why, Dad? I did it when I was your age. He looks at me. You did? And he still does it. Like, really, man?
Oh,
I
yeah.
just told you not to do
Oh,
I painted you the
yeah, I know.
goddamn picture. Why you got to get it messy?
Yeah, I know. And my little brother Connor, he was mom's easiest child for sure. And his daughter, she's 3, and I'm like, holy smokes, man. Connor, are you gonna be in for a world of excitement when she gets older? Because like I said, my son's 18, and my daughter, she's 16, and she's funny. I've never really encountered teenage girls too much, in my adult
Huh,
life. And
huh.
it's such a different dynamic. You got your son, who you're like, hey, don't go out and fucking do that, because it's going to be really shitty for you. And then you got your daughter that you just kind of gotta navigate with such a different set of gloves, when you got a son and a daughter, so especially
I
a
think
teenage daughter.
I think Justin's agreeing with you. Justin, you got 2 girls, right? Yeah. And
I got
uh,
2 girls. One's 18. One's shit. How old is she? Andy, how old is my daughter? Uh,
Only because Drew
she's gonna
dated her will
she's
make
gonna
that
be
clear.
14.
14.
Yeah, she's gonna be 14. My daughter dated Andy's son, so. But yeah, it's definitely. I got a 21-year-old son, and it's a handful with 2 freaking girls in the house, and then your wife, and then oh my god,
That's like our household right now. I got
yeah,
Beth and Jenny.
yeah,
well, I'm gonna elaborate on this. One of those ladies in your household, Justin, you can go and tell to go lay down, and she listens. The other one might throw a book at you. So
Well, see, I could tell this one right here to go lay down, and she
no,
won't listen.
I'm talking about Schmitty. I'm talking about Schmitty.
Oh, Schmitty, not me, not me,
Not you.
not me.
I would say, Justin, I will pay to watch you do that.
What, my wife or
Yeah,
my
one of
daughter to tell lay down? I mean,
Oh,
oh shit. No, I could say, I think all three of us can agree that Justin Schmitz had a hell of a career in the FPHL. I mean, I idolize Schmitty. I mean, from the first time I met him to seeing him on the ice, it's just unbelievable what you've done.
Oh, I
Really?
appreciate that. Yeah, I'm always, like I said, I'm forever grateful for my time, and I'm so grateful that I got to connect with so many fans and so many different organizations and teammates and stuff. And like I said, even though when I left Kansas, I said the chapter's over, but the book ain't. So I never wanna close the door on anything, but no, I'm so grateful for all the fans and like I said, just all the relationships I built over the last 6 years. So
But like I said at the beginning, if you ever come back to Michigan, stop off in Port Huron for a home game. You're gonna find us three there. We gotta have a
yeah,
handshake or buy you a beer or I don't know. We will think of something.
I'll save you a
yeah,
seat up
no,
in the notorious Section 9, man. You can come up and throw some of your best chirps out from the bleacher, from the stands instead of the bench.
yeah. Oh man, yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad I never. I always had pretty thick skin because I know you guys used to give it to me as hard as anybody. So.
We had to. It's hard to get in your head, though, man. You turn around and smile and ruin it all. It's like, come on, man. You're not supposed to get past.
Yeah, I was around too long for those things to rattle me. It never really talk never really got under my skin. Maybe early on it did, but as the years progressed, I never got too involved in any type of verbal altercation. Whether it was with guys on the other team or with refs or with fans or coaches or anything. I mean, all you can do is let your on ice behavior dictate the direction you're going to move. And I definitely, there were times when I probably got a little bit carried away going after other teams players and going after coaches and other teams coaches. And but at the end of the day, it was all part of the thing. And I don't have any hard feelings to anyone by the way they played the game. I'll never, how a guy plays the game, whether he's a rat or he's a goal scorer or he's an honest blue collar tough guy like Gino Mini or Nick Williams or someone like that. I'll never be able to criticize a guy for how he played the game, because we're all trying to do it the way we know how to do it best, I suppose. So
Yeah. I think the next person that the three of us are going to try and get on is Avery Smith. I think that'd be another guy to.
yeah,
pick his brain.
he'll give you some good sound bites. He's not far down the road from you guys. I think he's in Detroit. I know they just had a little girl. I talked to Aves last Saturday. I think they had a daughter, probably going on a couple weeks now. I don't know, my days all run together, but he was another guy that when he was on the other side of the ice from me, we battled pretty hard. And last year we got him in Topeka, and he was definitely one of the guys I was closest to in the room. And I still talk to him every few days or so, so.
Yeah, we actually had him scheduled on the day that his daughter was born. I'd messaged him to say, "Hey, we still on?" He goes, "Actually, I'm in the labor and delivery, man." I go, "We'll get reschedule, enjoy parenthood for a little while."
Yeah. Yeah, enjoy peace and quiet for the next 12 hours because you got 18 years of it coming up.
You got a lot of gray hair. You're going to see him grow over the next few years.
Yeah, and his big mustache, his big handlebar mustache. Next time I see him, he's gonna look. Next time I see him, he's gonna look like Sam Elliott.
That is the best analogy. I was trying to think of one, but that is perfect.
Oh boy, it's a good poster board there, Andy.
I can picture that. That's a good analogy. As soon as you can picture that, that's amazing. Put that on the sign. Sam Elliott, Avery Smith.
I never would have thought of that. Honestly,
Nope.
never would have thought of it.
Before having a daughter, after having a daughter.
Oh man.
I think, gentlemen, I think we could sit here for hours upon hours listening to the stories that Justin has for all of us. But I think there's not enough time or enough days to do that. I think that's it. You guys got anything?
Thank you for coming on. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for all the memories of the fights you had in McMorran Place. We hope to see you soon.
Oh, thanks so much, you guys, for having me. Yeah, we got a beautiful night here. There's a little dumpling spot we go to on our Saturday nights if the weather's good. So we're probably gonna go grab some dumplings and throw a movie on, and then we're gonna watch the bike race here tomorrow as it goes through our much.
Well,
yeah.
On that point, Justin.
Uh-oh. Well,
folks. I guess that's
talk.
Yep, that's dumb fed talk. Like I said, we could sit here for hours. Obviously, internet, I don't know. Other than that, folks, thank you for tuning in on this episode of Thumb Fed Talk. Be back.
Tune in tomorrow.
What time is tomorrow again, folks?
4 o'clock.
4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Andy, can you hear me good?
Yes, I can. You yelled that one. Yes, tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on here. Watch us. We have the hockey knowledge man himself, Mr. Scott Brand. Check us out. 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See y'all then.
See you guys later.